Now, so you are the one who gets to take the next question, Mr. Bernstein. Lack of collaboration, collegiality, and compromise on the city council is a big concern. What will you do, if anything, to improve this?
I'm a Midwestern boy, grew up in a suburb of Chicago, and in the Midwest we had the ethic of being polite. I believe the only candidate that is strongly supported by the two polarized factions that had existed in Menlo Park in past elections. I have supporters on both sides. I was Rich Klein's communication director in the last election, and so I'm certainly able to work with him. I don't agree with his priorities. I don't agree with his goals right now, but I'm certainly capable of working with him, and I'm capable of giving my respect to the people with whom I work. This has always been true. I don't care whether it's staff or fellow council people or citizens or whatever. The essence of this is respect. It's something I try to live up to every day as an educator, working with people very different than I, childcare professionals, teachers. And so I think that I'll start with the respect side of it. The second thing is that I think what Menlo Park really needs is leadership, and that's what's been lacking. I've created a company with 140 employees, $10 million budget, and I've been able to work with people that have different interests. There's probably nothing more personal as a product than childcare. Everybody has a different opinion about it, and to try to satisfy clients in this human service area is a very difficult thing to do. And teachers are an independent group as well. But somehow I managed to bring all that together, to work those things out. And I'll come back and say it starts by talking to people, by speaking clearly, frankly, directly, by being honest, and above all, having respect for other people. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Robbins.
Thank you very much. I'm going to have to respond a bit to Chuck on his last question because he started shouting at us, and hopefully if he comes up here on council, he won't shout. Because I think we heard him fine. On the Board of Equalization issue, that's really the issue here. And our staff is working very diligently. No one has not picking up the phone. And you need to really understand what's going on behind that. That will only create division. When our council took over in 2006, it was a pretty divided city. I would say that we are much less divided now, although there are deep divisions. And I think those are mostly on the extremes. I think most people in the city are actually pretty happy with the direction we're headed, that we think about long-term planning, that we have a strategic plan. The city's never had we came on to council, there was never, the city did not have a strategic plan. There was no vision, there was no blueprint of where we're going. And that's been something that's been very, very important that we've created to help people understand where things are happening. The other thing that you'll find here is that we listen. When residents come to council, business people come to council, appellants come over issues, they really know that we're listening to them. Whether we disagree up here on the different issues, they're going to get a fair shake, and we know that their issue is going to be directed to somebody in staff and taken care of, and that's very important. We're not perfect up here on the council. We're human beings. We do sometimes lose our temper. We do make mistakes. We also, though, learn to move on. It's very important that if we do have disagreements, we leave it up here on the table. We don't let it carry over, and we keep focused on doing the people's business, which is what you elected us to do. And that's what I'll continue to do if I'm reelected. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Otaki.
Thank you. On the Fire District Board of Directors, I have found that each of the directors come from very different backgrounds and viewpoints. And I've tried very hard through the use of rigorous financial analysis to be able to present to all of the board directors your basic alternatives on different issues that I think help clarify the decision and de-emotionalize it, and at least make it easier to say alternative A, alternative B, and C, and judge what is in the best interests of our residents. That does a lot to sort of define and resolve what is often ambiguity in decision making. The second aspect is the importance of prioritization and metrics. This council has, like many councils and boards, have a lot of goals that it sets each year. But unless you then prioritize and attach metrics to those goals, you will constantly be frustrated in not being able to accomplish anything. And if you have prioritization that everyone has agreed to, it's easier on staff to understand how they should allocate their time, and you get more accomplished. And in turn, that brings the collegiality and compromise back when people understand we're going to focus on these 4 priorities this year, and that's what we're going to work on and get accomplished. And I think that works best for everyone. And finally, I try very hard to find common ground. I think my position earlier on the specific plan, I do think there's common ground on El Camino. I do think we can work out some compromise with the downtown merchants. And certainly I believe that's an example of where we can find common ground. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Peterson.
I like Chuck's passion. I just like your energy and all that. But I was as a neophyte political candidate, I was given some advice by a gentleman that apparently has left the room at this point. He said, "Go negative, early and hard and often." And quite frankly, because I've worked with Mayor Klein and worked with Hayward Robinson, and talked to other council members that I disagree with, that's just not me, personally, and I'm not going to tear them down for doing a bang-up job trying to get the city to move forward. On the specifics of how would I go about working with these people and maintaining a collegial relationship, I would like to see the council meetings, a little shorter, so people aren't having to wait till midnight or to figure out what's going to happen, and getting some questions answered up front, perhaps. But basically, in working with them, I think Peter hits the nail on the head. You've got to stay focused on the issues. It can't be about personalities. This is a representative form of government. We're supposed to be representing the people and doing our best to advance the ideas forward. If we disagree, they're always going to have a chance to vote on whether, yay or nay on a subject. So, make your arguments. If you convince people, great. If you don't, move on to the next one. And like I say, stay focused on the issue. I think Peter had the best suggestion yet for doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Keith.
Thank you. I've been sitting up here working collaboratively for 6 years with fellow commissioners. Some I've been on here for 6 years, so I've had several different people on the commission with me, and I have to say it's always we have a great working group. We work collaboratively. I know quite a few of you are here tonight. It's nice to see you, and we focus on. For myself, I focus on the facts, and I make a decision after reading all the facts, and I don't come in here with a preconceived notion of things. I like to listen to everybody before I make a decision, including people here and everybody, the public who comes to talk to us about their projects. And I think also if I have flyers outside at a table, and I'd love for all of you to please go ahead and pick up one of my flyers. You can see I have a very broad base of support, and I have 7 former mayors support me, including the current mayor, and from a wide range of places. So as I started in my opening, I stated in 2004 I was appointed by Jellens, Lee Dubach, and Mickey Winkler, and then I was reappointed to the Planning Commission by Kelly Ferguson, Rich Klein, and Hayward Robinson. And so I'm able to work with a lot of people, and I think that can be very useful. And I'm happy to work with people and happy to talk about the issues, and I'm happy to talk about people who don't, happy to talk with people who maybe don't agree with me. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Klein.
Thank you. I can't agree more with a lot of the comments here. And I think I'll break this down for you, the question a little bit. You talked about collaboration, so talk about that one first. Collaboration is the ability for us to work together, and obviously how are we going to move forward with some of the projects. That really depends on a lot of the individuals. I think when you're up here, you realize that. Are you making your mind up before you come in here? Then what's the point? Are you coming in with the proper preparation and listening to the feedback? Are you willing to have your mind changed? Are you flexible enough and mature enough to change your mind if you think the information leads you that way? That's a big part of that collaboration. If everybody's willing to do that, we'll have a true collaborative process on council. If not, it'll be a smaller group of collaborative people. And I think we've seen that on Tuesday nights. That's what happens. You see who does collaborate and you see who doesn't. And you can't hide that stuff. It's pretty clear, and I think it's individually based. I do pride myself on being somewhat perversely objective. I was a journalist covering city councils for many years in the East Bay, covered a lot of different city councils. When I'm up here, I still view it from the same lens. I watch myself from the outside in. I'm my biggest critic, no matter how many big critics there are out there, and thousands and thousands, millions of viewers. But I am, and I know I've made mistakes on every Tuesday night, but I have been willing to change my mind. I disagree with a lot of folks on any given issue, but I don't prejudge them on that. And I respect the people for what they bring, the ideas and the passion they bring on the issues. We may disagree, but that does not color who they are to me, and I think that's very important. And that's something I can't make up or practice. It comes with me, and I think it is of value on the council on those ugly, long Tuesday nights. Thanks.
Thank you.